Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another version of the Tom Green podcast. As I was telling on my Lions preview that I will have up shortly, as this recording was before I posted this, I was talking about a guest, and he is no Lions fan, so that's why I did the Lions show before having him on, because he's quite critical of the Detroit Lions, despite Bob Quinn coming from the Patriots. With that being said, our guest is none other than Bridgeport High School in Michigan head football coach Kevin Marshall. How we doing, Kevin?
Hey, how you doing today, Tom?
Pretty good. It's great to have you on. Of course, he heard about the show a couple months ago. If you guys listened to the NBA show, he heard about the show from Frederick Jackson, or as we call him, Fred Jack.
Fred Jack, yep.
He had coached him in AAU ball, was it?
Yes, I coached him his first AAU basketball team. He was in the 8th grade.
So
some years ago.
So he's known him for quite a few years, and in fact, I had Fred tell the story about him playing with Draymond in high school, and it would be cool sometime to get Draymond Green on this show. So before we get started, of course, Kevin, tell us about how you got from where you got to Bridgeport.
Well, it started over 20 years ago. When my son was in the 3rd grade, grabbed a group of boys from the neighborhood, started an AAU basketball team, and did that for over 22 years in the city of Saginaw. And I volunteered, here and there at high schools and middle schools, and I ended up picking up a girls' basketball job at Willie E. Thompson, and then Lou Dawkins hired me for the girls' JV coach at Saginaw High.
Lou Dawkins, as I referred to him on this show, and Fred agreed with me as the silent assassin.
Yeah,
as he was quite silent as you were watching the game, but when he called timeout,
yeah, I think I'm a little bit reversed from that. So you hear me all the time. So after I worked at Saginaw High 2 years coaching girls basketball. Then I moved over to Bridgeport and I started coaching middle school football and did that for several years and took over the JV program 4 years ago. And next year I'm the varsity head coach, and it is my 3rd year coaching varsity football then.
So yes, I had known Kevin actually a few years ago when I was at Delta College. Was actually my 2nd semester of classes. One of my classmates was Reggie Baldwin.
Yes.
And we were all supposed to do a skit on a children's skit on a different country. Mine was Australia, his was South Africa, and he brought in a special guest who is, of course, our guest tonight, Kevin. Mm-hmm. And through Facebook and through the years, we've been able to keep in touch and see what each other are doing. And here we are on the show. So, you bet. I've been able to get guests just about anywhere. In fact, I've gotten Sarah Brooks from Fox Sports Arizona to do the Lions Cardinals preview last year. So I've been able to draw even some professional guests.
That's all right.
So do tell us a little bit before we get started with the Maryland stuff. Do tell us about FOH. Tell us about that a bit. I know it's been a couple years, but just tell us a little bit about that.
FOH was started, like I said, when I started back with my son. I started as a basketball/mentoring program. It's a Friends Offering Hope mentoring program. Which when the boys started playing basketball, they changed it to Flat Out Hoopers. And so that name stuck, and for the years throughout the city of Saginaw, I did a lot of community service, community functions, back to school picnics with a group of friends of mine that we guys got together as former military guys, college students, and we just gave back to the kids in the community. And as the time got, we grew, I extended it and went farther with it and continued the basketball for many years with it. And actually, since I've been coaching high school basketball and football the last 4 years, I started out a chapter out in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a couple years. And now I just closed the door to all of it and let that part of my life go. So no longer AAU anymore.
Yeah, and so he had a great service with FOH, of course,
yes.
And I will say this is your 2nd year coaching varsity basketball, correct?
Yes, this will be my 2nd year of varsity basketball.
And in last season, I have to mention it because of all the reporters I've met throughout the years. Bridgeport made the state quarterfinals. Of course, my school, Essex Garber, did 2 years in a row, so it was Bridgeport's turn to do so. And they had lost to New Haven by 6.
Yes.
And had they beaten New Haven, I had to mention on the show, Kevin would have gotten interviewed by one of my sports friends who I've mentioned on here a few times, Tori Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been something else had that interview went.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was a great learning experience. But I guarantee you, the boys bringing back 12 of them, they'll be prepared and we'll be back ready to battle again and go defend that quarterfinal and get farther.
Get farther in the semifinals.
Yes.
So hopefully, if Tori's doing the state semifinals and finals, that interview could happen.
That's right.
You'll have to mention me if that does.
Will do.
So with that being said, let's move to the Maryland, to the I shouldn't say shenanigans, but what's going on at Maryland. I wanted to bring a coach on because I wanted to hear it from a coach's perspective at a reaction to what's going on. So apparently at Maryland, it seems as if DJ Durkin has let the power get to his head.
Yeah.
When a kid died on the field, McNair, 19 years old, and we've heard punishments from verbal abuse to a kid trying to cut weight and they're making him eating candy bars.
Wow.
So tell me what's from an outside perspective what the hell is going on?
Well, the little that I do know of it, I followed it, and it was first off, my prayers go out to the young man's family, because that's a sad way to go. And just looking at it from a coaching aspect, with the weather, the heat, as coaches we have to be sensitive, and I mean even with us, I don't do water breaks, certain times. It's water anytime you need it. You go if I notice kids, hydrated or saying, hey, coach, feeling dizzy, get your helmet off, get over there, go sit in the shade. We got a kiddie pool out there, so I got guys go sit in the pool and things like that just so we can keep a tight grip on them and make sure everything's okay. And just reading that situation, is very sad from the things that I heard that happened, behind the scenes with a lot of the players and that young man. So I'm against things like that. So I'm a tough coach, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's still, you have to draw a line. And I think that line was crossed.
Yeah, we've all heard of the phrase tough love. And one of my coaches, Kevin Disher, who coached golf for many years, really preached that. But there, like you said, there's ethical lines that we just can't cross. And one of them is to the point of pretty much human torture.
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat this. It's human torture.
Yeah.
Is what's going on. If you're trying to lose weight and somebody's making you eat candy bars till you throw up, that's human torture. Hopefully you've seen I've slimmed down just slightly before this show. And also heat exhaustion, as well as you mentioned. Not just water break, but you got to have water all the time because a human needs water.
Yes.
He can only live 3 days without it. Food, he or she can only live 30 days without food. So you need both. And unfortunately at Maryland, prayers go out to the McNair family. And according to the attorney, he feels that DJ Durkin should be fired, and I agree. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think, I never want to call for anyone's job, but in a situation like this, a young man lost his life. It's not just a kid, got sick, went to the hospital, and, then gets to come back. This kid will never come back home again, and that family will have to go through that pain and suffering for the rest of their life. And every time they see that football team, because they know their son was a part of it. So, I believe the school should do what's right in this situation. And even if it was me as a coach, I would step away and wouldn't want to be a part of that, if I had something to do with something that tried to happen.
Yes, and one thing is in football, I guess the attitude and mentalities is very close, I would say, to what it would be in the military. However, a lot of times there's a lot of difference between football and the military. Military, you're actually risking your life out there.
Yes.
Football, you shouldn't be.
Yeah. The biggest thing, being an ex-military guy, because I was in the Army for 8 years, so the biggest thing where you compared it to is, in the military, is discipline and structure. And as a football coach or a basketball coach, those are the top two things that I believe in as a coach. I have to have structure and I have to have discipline, because without that you can't teach. And in anything, you have to have those two before you can teach others to become one.
Exactly.
So those leadership skills that we learn in the military, yes, I use them as a coach, but I don't go like my drill sergeant was. But I am a tough guy and get the point across,
And I also have to mention that one of the coaches in the TVC, Chris Watts, was a Marine.
Okay.
And as they say, once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's true.
So much love towards our military. Now, in that aspect, why don't we turn it over to Michigan?
All right.
We're really changing topics here, but we got to have a Michigan football preview because, like I said, Kevin ain't no Lions fan, but he sure is a Michigan fan.
Oh yeah. Go blue.
So we got to preview our Michigan squad first. Why don't we address the elephant in the room and Shea Patterson? I really haven't seen this guy much besides a little bit of practice. Of course, practices, that's another thing about the Maryland thing. Practices are very closed to any media. But Shea Patterson, what do you think?
Like I'm with you on that. I haven't seen a lot. I read his past information on him and things like that, seen some clips and highlights. But I think Michigan has a couple quarterbacks that can lead the team this year. I mean, Shea Patterson is so far everyone's top choice. But my thing is we'll know September 1st when they go to Notre Dame. And we'll see what he's about when that lights come on and the pressure hit. But if he's the man, then, hey, go for it. I mean, I was leaning a little bit more towards McCaffrey myself.
Yes, Dylan McCaffrey. We can't forget with this Shea Patterson hype that we have Dylan McCaffrey waiting in the wings.
And then they have another young man. I don't know his name offhand, but he's from Florida. And he's a great quarterback as well. Very athletic. So, as long as the guys that was there last year not quarterbacking, we'd be all right.
Yeah, that was the thing about last year is 8-5, and it seemed like a huge disappointment because you had injured quarterbacks the whole way through. And I'm sure you've experienced it with your team. Injured quarterbacks, that doesn't help. Doesn't help anything when you're trying to win ball games.
Yeah, I played without my star quarterback my first year there at Bridgeport. He had surgery, but his brother stepped up and took over, but it still struggled because he was a freshman coming in playing varsity football as a quarterback. But now he's the starting quarterback, so he can do everything anyway now. So
exactly. So let's preview this schedule, and we'll address a couple fan questions after we mention this schedule. But first of all, we got Notre Dame, of course, September 1st under the lights. College game day is going to be there. How are we going to start?
Big win, just like we did last year when everybody thought Florida was going to walk over us. And I mean, we bent, but we didn't break. And I believe we have a lot to prove, especially coming back with all the defensive players that we have. And I believe those guys are going to take care of their business. And I think we'll beat Notre Dame by 14.
We beat the brakes off Florida last year, addressing the defensive backs of Florida's comments. Yeah. We beat the brakes off Florida last year. Kind of like this year where people are thinking, oh, Notre Dame's going to walk over. Well, we got quarterbacks waiting in the wings, and we got an offensive line that, if it plays to its potential, which I think it will, watch out.
They were young. We will be good this year.
So we both think a win over Notre Dame. Now, September 8th, excuse me. Wow, why am I thinking November? I'm already thinking playoffs already. September 8th, Western. Now, 2 years ago, this would have been quite a matchup with P.J. Fleck. But now that P.J. Fleck's in Minnesota, Tim Lester at Western. Do we both think that we have that? Can we chalk that as a W?
Yeah, that would be a W. I'll be at that game, actually.
So. I will most likely be at that game. I'm looking at StubHub tickets, of course, so we'll have to get in contact there.
Yeah.
9:15, SMU, Michigan. I like June Jones as a coach, but he hasn't done much with SMU. Can we chalk that up as a win as well?
Let's give us that W there. I met June Jones when he was coaching in Hawaii. He recruited my cousin that went to Hawaii, Keontae Marshall, from Saginaw High, and then he left when they went from worst to the first. And
when they went 12-0, and
yeah.
And of course, I was in 8th grade back then, but I thought that Hawaii should have played for the national championship that year because they were the only undefeated team. But of course, everybody said, "Oh, they had an easy schedule," and unfortunately, Georgia proved that.
Yeah,
But still,
true.
12-0 is 12-0.
12-0 is 12-0. I'll take it.
Yeah. Moving to conference season, September 22nd, we have a very real rematch of the champions of 1997. Scott Frost, Nebraska against Michigan. That's really besides Notre Dame, of course, that's really the first big game on the schedule, as Michigan has the 8th toughest schedule on this in the FBS. So,
Yeah.
Nebraska, Michigan, how's that going to go?
It's going to be a tough one because Coach Frost is a great coach. See what he did with UFC last year. UCF, excuse me.
The national champions.
They're national champions, but I mean, hey, and I believe he's going to bring some of that magic over to Nebraska. Don't have some of the athletes he had down there.
Right.
But at the same time, I know he'll get those guys up to play big for Michigan, but we'll pull out that one. Be a close game, but we should pull that one out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on how the offense gets going for Scott Frost, because during after the UCF game, Scott Frost I felt delusionally said, we were the better team in the second half. Well, we lost 5 times after that.
That's right.
They lost once.
Yeah.
So what I thought was delusional turned out to be truth.
Yeah.
I do think Michigan pulls this out. Field goal at the end. Let's say field goal as time expires.
Ooh.
Michigan wins.
I would give it probably about a 6-point game, though.
6 points?
Yep.
Sure.
Yes, though.
September 29th, our 5th game in September, which is rare. Michigan at Northwestern. Now, before we get to the preview, I should say that I went to Chicago over July 4th, as you probably saw on my Facebook. And I visited Evanston for a short while on the way back. And there's only a 2-lane road going into the city.
Wow.
If you're going to that game, go early. Because traffic is going to be insane.
And it's always tough to play at Northwestern.
Northwestern is...
It's always tough.
Northwestern is how Ozzie Guillen portrayed the Twins. Piranhas.
Yeah.
Pesky.
Yeah. They come to play no matter what. And, the coach going to have them ready and pumped up. But
Pat Fitzgerald.
Yep, Fitzgerald. Former linebacker from Northwestern. So my thing is me, I'm going to bleed blue on it. And I'm going to go there.
Yeah, that will be, besides Notre Dame, of course, the first Big Ten road test for Michigan, and I think they'll pass it as well. Northwestern's going to be a pesky team. They'll probably finish 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah.
They'll be a good team. They'll be in a late December bowl. But yeah, I see Michigan passing that road test. And then October 6th, the 2 programs that we have exclusively talked about on this show, Maryland and Michigan.
Wow. Yeah, I think Maryland probably will still be, picking up all the pieces after everything clears up. So I don't think it'll be much of a battle, I think we'll go and take that one. It's at home, so it looked like we should take that one pretty easy.
Yeah, Matt Canada is a very experienced coach, but he hasn't had much head coaching experience, and he could be in over his head, especially with what's going on, what we discussed at Maryland. We can chalk Michigan up with a win there. Then a real big test, Michigan against Wisconsin, October 13th at the Big House, the rematch of the Jordan Lewis one-handed interception. Wish we had him back.
I wish that too. Hopefully the young guys step up and our receiving corps can attack them with our quarterbacks, because I know Wisconsin always have a strong run game, but the secondary is always kind of weak with those guys, but if we can control the ball, score, stop them, and, we put the ball in there and get some good touchdowns and things going, I think we should be okay. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'll be honest with you. That's one of the ones I probably don't want to really guess on, but I just say go blue on that one.
Yeah, go blue and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Wisconsin has been the most consistent university in the Big Ten the past 6-7 years. Not Ohio State and not Michigan State. Wisconsin has always had the 10-plus win season, so that will always be a test. And last year, especially at Camp Randall Stadium, Perfect Passes won that game. for Wisconsin. Michigan was in that game, and they've been in every big game that they've had. In fact, Michigan is 12 seconds and 2 plays away from being 3-3 against Michigan State and Ohio State. A lot of people don't realize that. They just say, "Oh, we're 1-5 against those teams. Harbaugh's a joke," when that's not really the case. So, go Blue. Hope for the best on that one, and of course. Addressing a fan question from Seth Duncan at SethDuncan8 on Twitter. Him and I went to Europe years ago. We've stayed friends. In fact, I went to a wedding a few weeks ago, and that was Seth's wedding up in Boyne City. And he said, "Oh yes, Michigan and Michigan State prediction on this one at East Lansing. 2 years ago, of course, Michigan was supposed to steamroll them. We only won by 9, but of course, Jabril had the 2-point conversion, which was nice."
I was at the game, and I got to see it in person, so it was beautiful.
Oh, of course. Watching all the green and white tears flow.
Oh, yeah. I kept it quiet because, Michigan State's kind of hostile.
Oh, yeah.
And, I cheer, but I keep it low. Then when you get outside, walk into your car, then you go ahead and chant. But I took some of my football players to that game 2 years ago, and they got to meet some legends from Michigan State, Andre Rising, Lorenzo White, the running back, and it was a quarterback that was back then, and the guys got to tailgate with them, and they got to enjoy themselves and talk football with them, so that was pretty nice. Tim McAllister, I think his name was.
Tim McAllister, okay.
The quarterback. But, you know me, I know it's a backyard brawl, and I had my feelings hurt last year,
Especially in 2015.
Yeah.
For the punt, which is kind of the theme picture of the Overreaction Monday. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you bought
I
that
just
one
sat there.
That one still hurt.
For at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it neither. I couldn't. Yeah, because I got probably about 100 phone calls talking trash to me. So, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to be loud and proud with it. Michigan will win that one by 14 points.
By 14.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I have one of my drinking buddies from Ohio who is a regular listener on the show. Danny Ocarafo is his name. He's a Michigan State fan, a loud and proud State fan. He's singing, "Oh, Lewerke, the mobile quarterback. We're gonna go 11-1 this year." And I'm like, let's get real, Danny. Yes, Lewerke's mobile, but so much crap has been going on at Michigan State that who knows if the football, and it includes the football and the basketball team. Really now, of course, none of the players were affected by the Dr. Nassar scandal. But, I mean, if D'Antonio and Izzo knew about it, perhaps there may be blood on their hands. Who knows? But besides the point, Michigan State prediction. Lewerke will test the Michigan defense, I feel. And, of course, L.J. Scott, the running game, will be a test to Michigan, but I think Michigan's ready for it, just like any rivalry game. And like I had said, Michigan is 12 seconds and 2 plays away from being 3-3 against Michigan State and Ohio State. And here's where Michigan proves that they should be 3-3 against these rivals.
I think we'll turn the corner on them. Like you said, last year, defense played exceptionally well in the climate weather they had. We couldn't run the ball, but that was once again the young line. And I won't even talk about passing the ball because that was pathetic. So I think we'll be a better team. And like I said, the defense this year is going to lead this team. As far as they can go, it'll be on the defensive head. And I believe these guys can take it there. And I think we're going to go into Michigan State and shock them. I'm going to try to make sure I'm at that one as well. So, yeah.
I'm going to say Michigan 24, Michigan State 10.
Ooh, okay.
Defense.
I can go with that.
Defense. In fact, before we get going on the rest of the schedule, I should say that I had to make sure my dad met Coach Kevin. And I bet you after they shook hands, Kevin thought, did I meet Tom's dad or did I just meet Don Brown? Because they look so similar, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So with that being said, after the test at State and a bye week, a well-needed bye week after Michigan State.
And Wisconsin.
Yes, that too. Penn State comes to town.
Man.
Now, 2 years ago when Penn State came to Ann Arbor, Penn State ran out of linebackers and we won 49-10. How did Penn State win that Big Ten?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking that to myself. They ran out of linebackers and we won 49-10. How do they win the Big Ten?
Yeah. Hey, that ball bounces crazy ways. Because I think that's when they had the big shocker against Ohio State off a turnover. Mm-hmm. And I think they didn't play Michigan State that year.
They have to because they're in the same division.
Okay.
That was when MSU was 3-9 and.
Oh, all right. So that was easy then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be Penn State's gonna be tough. I know that I was just seeing something on Big Ten Network about this game where they was talking about Penn State has just as much talent as Michigan does, but I don't think so. I think a lot of those guys graduated and did losing Barkley. That's going to be big there. Yes. I know their quarterback is still there, but I mean, you had Barkley, and that says enough.
Yeah,
he did Michigan in the first
he
quarter. He
steamrolled Michigan.
Yeah, so we won't have that problem to worry about. I just think coming off of that bye week, we'll be fresh and rejuvenated, and we'll go and take care of business that week.
Okay. Now, I will say, as a lifelong Michigan fan, we always win one that we shouldn't, and we lose one that we shouldn't.
That's right.
I feel 2 years ago when we went 10-3, I felt that game was Iowa, and I was right about that. And I will say that if we lose that one game we shouldn't, I think it's going to be the Penn State one.
That could possibly happen.
And plus, I had mentioned it on an MLB show. Take a look at James Felton from WNEM, and then take a look at James Franklin. They look the same.
Wow! So I better check it out.
So if Michigan is to lose one that they shouldn't, I think it's going to be to Penn State. Now, November 10th, Michigan-Rutgers at High Point Solutions Stadium, and I don't think Rutgers will have a high point in this game.
Yeah. Rutgers got a football team? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I'm just, a couple of years we were there, it was just like a nighttime practice. Jabril brought his friends to us.
78-0.
Yeah, he brought his friends home, and they had pickup game in the backyard. So, look like we'll do that again because I think we got a couple New Jersey kids on the Michigan team this year. So, I know one of the linebackers, I think, is from New Jersey. Young guy, so he was a stud coming out of high school.
And the thing is, if you're a Rutgers fan, just pray that it's 2006 again. Because that was when they had Ray Rice and Rutgers and Greg Schiano, and Rutgers actually
they're both gone, so
yeah. I'm not going to quite say 78-0, but I'm going to say maybe 77. Realistically, Michigan 38, Rutgers 3. Perhaps they'll tack on a field goal at the half, maybe just to give them a little pat on the back, a little sympathy pat.
Yeah.
And then Senior Day against Indiana, November 17th.
That's always tough. Indiana's a tough team. Now, that's what you talked about. That kind of be a game that we can slip up and lose to. But with it being Senior Day, I don't think those guys are going to go out like that on there. I think they'll play hard and win that game and get ready for the following week. So I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, sometimes warm-up games can be it's not quite a warm-up game, but perhaps a warming up for Ohio State could be a slip-up. But Indiana's defense has greatly improved under Tom Wilson, I think his name is. Indiana's defense has greatly improved, but they still haven't won that big game yet, and I don't see it here either.
I don't see us beating Michigan. See them beating Michigan, thinking they're going to get a big game out of that one.
Michigan 24, Indiana 17. I think it is close, but the score will be closer than the game is, I'm sure, as we've both seen games like that before.
I can agree with that. So
now, the game. 2 days after Thanksgiving, where Kevin has eaten probably his second turkey. Whole? No offense, but we love turkey too. I'll probably have consumed at least one. So, Michigan, Ohio State in Columbus.
Man, we got to do whatever we have to do to win this game.
Yes.
Just bottom line, we have to beat that team. I won't say their name, but we have to beat that team. I'm sorry. I met their coach this summer at a football camp at Grand Valley. even though everybody know I'm a Michigan guy and I don't like that school. I don't know what's wrong with my son, but that's his school, favorite school, and a couple of my players love that school. So we'll all have some friendly wagers on there and some nice lunch bets on that one.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to do what we have to win this game, and I think that will help Harbaugh if he gets the state game and he gets this game. I think that would really help and get people off of his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's still saying 1-5 against these two teams. But I said, 12 seconds, 2 plays. It could be 3-3.
Yeah.
As for this game, I agree with you. We got to do whatever we can to win this game.
Yeah. Make sure the referees are from different parts of the country instead of all Ohio. Too.
That's true.
That will be a big help.
To be fair to both sides, we should stop Samuel in the backfield the play before.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That way it forces Urban Meyer to kick the field goal instead of be crazy and go for it on 4th and 1 and leave it up to a referee's decision.
Yeah, that one still hurts. That one still hurts.
It does. So do our best, do the best we can, and hope Michigan wins. In fact, my Ohio drinking buddies are all Ohio State fans. So
poor fellas.
Yeah, poor fellas. Poor fellas. So we both think very positively on our Michigan club, and of course, because you're the Bridgeport head man, and don't let Jake know that you're here instead of Coke Lord, because Coke Lord's a Notre Dame fan. Hype up your Bearcats a bit.
Look, all I can tell you about the boys been putting in some serious work. Majority of them has been going since January, weight training.
There is no off season in football.
No, I think my staff give them December off so they can relax for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of guys, working in the building, you see guys, they go on their own and go to the weight room, and so that desire and that hard work and that commitment to get better, especially after getting a taste of the playoffs last year. Hey, it's been great, and we're having a great summer right now. Guys are getting a lot of publicity. We got several guys, Sequarius Ball, a big 6'5" receiver.
And I was telling Kevin before the basketball game at Garber, he's teaching a ball kid the right way.
Yeah.
Instead of the LeVar Ball way.
Oh, yeah, no, teaching the right way. He's a great kid, very well mannered, coachable, come from a great family. Everything about the kid is exceptional. I'm just trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive. Even though if a lot of people saying he play basketball or football, he is aggressive, but I want more from him.
Of course.
With him, as well as Markel Garrett, another senior, dual threat, point guard on the court.
He's a 3-point shooter.
Yes. So with those two guys, Brandon Jenright, the second, I have Ramon Keels, Adam Bujak, and Jaden Parker, Brady Blackman. I got some guys that's going to make a big impact this year, and I think people stick around and come see Bridgeport. Last year was not a fluke. We asked you to trust the process. Now we telling people to respect the process because Bridgeport is for real.
And I really do believe it because I've watched, of course, as an Essexville Garber guy, I've watched Bridgeport since I was this high. And this was the best Bridgeport team I have ever seen. 2008 was close. 2008 they were 5-4, and if they'd have beaten Freeland, they'd have made the playoffs. But of course, Freeland is Freeland. But this is probably this was the best Bridgeport team I've seen in ever, and I do feel that it will continue.
Yes,
and it's Kevin's leadership that's really turned the school and the program around, because there were times, and especially when I was in high school, where I was a little nervous to go to Bridgeport.
Wow.
And I feel the culture has really changed.
Yes, that's big time there. I'll be honest, I work in the building, and having the staff that we have, they care about the kids, and the kids see that someone cares for them, and just it's a beautiful thing over there. You hear the rumors and people talk, but if you don't come and walk the hallways, we done had alumni come in this year, especially after our run on basketball, They were coming in buying T-shirts. Everybody wanted to wake them up T-shirts, so everybody was coming in and they was like, "Wow, Bridgeport this is nice. It's peaceful," you know. And then out of the leadership, our principal, Mrs. Collins, our dean of students and athletic director Gabe Rodriguez, and the rest of the staff. I mean, we're doing great things over there, and we're changing, and we're going to get the education and academics on that same level that the sports is on, and Bridgeport's going to soar to another level.
And to quote The Weeknd, I feel it coming.
Oh yeah.
Of course, to answer, the fan question we had from Seth, assessment of Jim Harbaugh if we do not beat Michigan State or Ohio State and no Big Ten championship game. I think that if we go 10-2 and we do not win those games, I think he's fine. If we go 8-4 or less, there might be some nerves coming out of Schembechler Hall. What do you think?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a big Jim fan, but at the same time, I was very disappointed last year. So I'm looking for the best, and I'm putting forward and all that faith in them to get these guys to where they need to be. But at the same time, there's millions of Go Blue fans out here, and if you can't be successful and get these games and have a positive record, then they're going to put pressure on University of Michigan to look around and go elsewhere. Because, I mean, we have a top program, one of the best universities in the country, and we have to be successful there. You know, I look at Alabama every day. I watch and I learn from Saban, and I watch some of the other schools out here in Clemson, and I'm like, hey, Michigan has everything they have. We just got to get over this hump right now.
Yes, we do. And the thing is, as for Saban, I'm like, let him just win one more title so that we can end this Bear Bryant versus Nick Saban debate. Unfortunately, I was too young for Bear Bryant, but I definitely respect what Bear has done. And speaking of Bear, of course, do not underestimate the Bridgeport Bearcats, especially come mid-September, I believe, is when the big Bridgeport Garber game is.
Yes, it is. Actually, we came here last year, and first time in 17 years that Bridgeport beat Garber on their home field. And I was complaining because I thought the grass was too high, and the paint had just got down, so when the guys were stretching, they got the paint all over their clothes. But, hey, it was something. We had a great game. You guys had Big Ben, a tough quarterback. And it actually was a decent game. I think we only won it by 2 points.
Yeah.
And it was a battle. So I know when they come to Bridgeport, they're looking for a little revenge. But I'm sorry, but we're going to defend home field. That's the thing. We have to win those home games.
You know, when Kevin took over, I had actually told Lee Thompson that within 3 years, Bridgeport will beat Garber. Because I knew that, and of course, I'm the announcer of Garber, and I'm kind of calling out my own team, but it seemed as if Garber was on a downswing, and Bridgeport was only on its way up because of this man right here. And this is no self-promotion. This is no self-promotion either because he's on the show. I really did feel when he was on the FOH Reggie Baldwin show, I thought, this man's got some talent. This man has got something that I haven't seen before.
It's a blessing, but at the same time, I mean, I couldn't be who I am without the kids, and then the great coaches that's around me that help out every day. You know, sometimes I can sit back at football practice and don't have to say a word and just go up to a kid and say, hey, do this or do that. And these coaches, you know, my support staff is excellent, you know, as far as on both sports, you know. With football, I mean, having Kurt Caruth there, Coach Mack, as we call him, you know, a former Saginaw High standout, state champion, Grand Valley 4-time national champion player, and then, you know, having guys like that. And then in basketball, I have my son, Kevin Jr., coaching with me, as well as Coach Mack. And, you know, Kevin has a state championship ring, played college basketball, and, you know, so you got all that experience around you, and the kids see that, and they soak it up. And then I open up the door, and I'll bring guys in to talk to them, you know, or help them out, you know, guys that play semi-pro, pro ball, and things like that. So just to give back to those guys, and they soak it up like sponges, and they help me become who I am. You know, that goes from the FOH days all the way to now at Bridgeport.
And he's, like I said, this man has inspired a lot of people. And he's definitely turned around the culture at Bridgeport, which I felt was really shaky until
Thank you.
this man took over. So he is Kevin Marshall, and I am Tom Green, and this has been the Tom Green Podcast. Do you have anything else to add to this show?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for having me. It's an honor. Sorry I got out of practice and head right down to come and chat with you. And thank you again, and I enjoyed the show. And also, go Blue and go Bearcats.
Of course, go Bearcats. So hopefully Kevin will end up getting that interview with Tori next season. That would be something else, especially on my end. So that is Kevin Marshall. I am Tom Green. Thanks again for listening to the Tom Green Podcast.